Wire step. No, where that part is, put it on the opposite side. Okay. Yeah, they put two colors on either side of the fern. Pauline,
For mics.
Yeah.
no, put flowers in between them.
Yeah, if we could get 2 mics, like one on each side.
How many of you are there?
There's at least 20 of us. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's gonna be loud in here without it.
Yeah, and then spread them out.
Well,
It's up to you.
Put that in.
I mean,
yeah.
can we try it and then?
I have no issues with it.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, it's cool. That's fine. I mean, you know more than I do, but
it's built to amplify.
yeah.
Jackson,
So I
spread
mean,
that out.
if we could try it and then if
Sure.
Oh, okay.
we may or may
need a
not.
mic for podium as well, right? Are we going with a handheld?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so number one, this will be our
Hey,
speaker.
Jackson, you want to move that big one up and over here to the right? See where the crack is, and you'll put it over the crack. Who has it?
So,
Jackson, right here, pull that crack in
2
the
and
top.
3 will be wireless.
There.
1 will be our speaking.
Now let's use one, guys. Somebody has that.
Does anybody speak playing with piano accompaniment?
You know what we could do? Have somebody, yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Riso might know. She may have the program. Actually, there's a program right over there that has everything.
Yeah, 1, 2. Yeah. Yeah. 1, 2. Yep. Yeah, this will work.
We can back 1, we can back 2 and 3 up.
The gains of all those. Okay, so what we'll do 3 stands. 2
So 2 in front of the choir.
Yeah.
Yes. There is a power strip right up here, or there's one right here. We can hook it up to.
Oh, yeah?
1975 Bronco.
What needs to be done to it?
Everything. It's one of those stories you read about on the internet where it's in a barn. The old guy hasn't done anything with it. Towed it to the mountains and drove around a couple of times. 1975. Lowest production. And it is 42,000 miles. Yep, so,
Oh, sorry. Didn't know that was there.
Dennis is over to you. Thank you very much for pleased to meet you. So thank you very much for helping. Yeah, so we'll get a chance to see you. Thank you. So thank you. He's all your music Yeah. It's muted. Wait, is that one that you have in your hand? That would make sense.
Peace like a river, God's endeth my pain. When sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my heart thou hast taught me to say. is well, it is well with my soul, with my soul. It is well, with my soul, with my soul. It is well, it is well with my soul, with my soul. And Lord, grace the day when my face shall be sky. The clouds be rolled back as a scroll. The drum shall resound, and the Lord shall be said. Even so, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul, with my soul. It is well, it is well with my heart, and in my feet pledge to thee. All hail, it is well with my soul.
There's not something in everything. There's something. There you go. There.
Lord, haste the day when my face shall be sight. The clouds be rolled back as a scroll. The drum shall resound, and the Lord shall be said. Even so, it is well with my soul. It is well, it is well. And Lord, haste the day when my face shall be sight. The clouds be rolled back as a scroll. The drum shall resound, and the Lord shall be said. Even so, it is well with my soul. Lord makes the day when my faith shall be sight. The clouds be rolled back as a scroll. The drum shall resound, and the Lord shall descend. Even so, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well with stars and it might be pledged to thee. All hail, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul, and minds be pledged to thee. All hail, it is well with my soul. When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my heart thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul, with my soul.
Yeah, when they send you come to the line, or come to the house, if you want.
Try to make it quiet a little bit. Try to keep it from me when you're acting.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, they put the switch on that power. That should be on.
Not a ton. So that's gonna be it. There's a single one I have that I don't have anything just for that. No way. Just have to put it in.
Hey, Miss Wilson. What, did that last year, like right before Valley?
Ballet. Nothing.
We got. What's a symphony? What are they doing? Oh, that's the song I just did. Okay, then we do an obituary. And a simple song for Mass, trumpet, and a piano. I wish I would have looked at that. I wish I would have known that trumpet was on there. We do piano mics.
Mm,
Don't think so?
Nope.
Okay.
They do it all the time over in music.
Oh, okay. Clarinet, piano. A singer with a piano.
He's,
Is he loud? No, I'm saying the piano to overcome him.
the piano with a mic.
This playlist is playing like right now. We can just leave it. Sorry.
This is on my or shuffle playing. Or you can say play.
Started from the
You go. Or if it's even on anything. That should be it.
you'll know it later.
Oh, that's what it is.
Sure.
You can put them up on the hear about the panel. So I shouldn't talk maybe. Huh? You want to take it? Please take it, please. I'll look at all. Huh?
What are we setting up here? It's not that far off center.
I hope so.
Really? I might be moving up there too.
You're right behind the rest I'm thinking, yeah, it goes up the top one. So if you zoom out all the way to get everything you need to, did you hear this? Oh, it goes to.
I can't get it.
Never offered it. The book says it. Right, right. Are you going to be staying here?
Oh,
When peace like a river ascendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my thought thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul, with my soul. It is well with my soul, with my soul. It is well, it is well with my soul. And Lord, haste the day when my faith shall be start. The clouds be rolled back as a scroll. The trump shall resound, and the Lord shall descend. Even so, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul, with my soul. It is well with my stars and it might be pledged to thee. All hail, it is well with my soul.
I'm not Dean. My name is Stephanie. I'm Dennis's niece. On behalf of our family, we'd like to thank you all for coming. I'm going to read Dennis's life journey. Dennis was born March 22nd, 1949 in Algona, Iowa. Upon graduating from Corwith Wesley High School, Dennis received his bachelor and master's degrees in music from Drake University in 1971 in Des Moines, Iowa. Dennis later received his doctorate degree in philosophy from the University of Oklahoma in 1999. Dennis taught music education and piano at the University of Western Montana in Dillon, Montana. Dennis recently finished his 13th year of teaching at Southwestern Oklahoma State University on the Weatherford campus. Dennis is survived by 5 brothers and their families, including Dean and family of Waterloo, Iowa, Doug and Luann and family of Cedar Falls, Iowa, Dwayne and Kathy and family of Cedar Falls, Iowa, Dwight and Roberta and family of Latimer, Iowa, and Dan and Lorraine family of Ripley, Tennessee, along with several nieces, nephews, cousins, and friends. Dennis was preceded in death by his father Charles in 1970 and his mother Doris in 1990. Dennis has received numerous recognitions for outstanding teaching in the music profession. Dennis's passion for teaching music was second to none. Dennis was involved in numerous musical activities throughout his lifetime in schools, churches, and music performances. Dennis has traveled worldwide in the pursuit of teaching music excellence to all his students. Dennis loved being a teacher, especially at Southwestern Oklahoma State University. Dennis also enjoyed working and spending time with his colleagues. Thank you.
On behalf of Dennis's family, and Doug and Dwayne and other brothers that couldn't be here and their families tonight, we want to thank you for bringing Dennis into your family here at the university. He loved it here. We found something we got in the house last night that he wrote, and I think I could read it writing. All you students, there will be no quiz after this. I'm pretty sure he never said that. I was thinking about all the things and just waiting for the moment for our family to be here. Looking at the comments on Facebook. I'm not a Facebook guy, and my family knows, but it was so nice and how precious those words you said will be. Such as, he always gave me his time. He even put his coffee down once. He's a great teacher. We're going to miss you. Your vest and matching ties. He'd always listen to me. He was an encourager, a mentor. Don't give up on your music. Someone wrote, you're my favorite teacher. He could pound out any song, anytime, any place, without even looking at the chords. One quick story, when I was growing up, my brother Dennis was credited with saving the life of one of our cousins who fell through the barn about 12 feet below. Dennis knew exactly what to do, kind-hearted. Then after that, he made us confess that we told him we didn't push him. Dennis invited me to play the piano multiple times, being a younger brother. Said I got big hands. Those will look good on a piano. And I just kept resisting, and I said, well, I'm going to play basketball, baseball, and all those other sports. He chose a passion. Might have started back with our Grandma Marie. It's carried on to our kids. Matt, Steph, John, Danielle. I know he didn't get it from me. But the passion that he passed on, he taught me that word in those days as he was growing up with me. That's what I'll leave with you today in my mind, thoughts, is that passion that he gave to you. You'll leave here at the university with all of us.
If it's okay, I'm going to replace this with what Dennis probably will be. You can rest assured I will not play any instrument this time. So, thank you. I'm his brother Dean, and I'm the next closest in age to Brother Dennis. And so other brothers, Dwayne, and also Brother Doug, were not able to come, and so they said I could take their time. So I'll be speaking for about 30 minutes. I also am a teacher. My brother Dwight has been in teaching and is now currently a superintendent. And I have 34 years in teaching at this time. So there's a little bit in our family. I too want to thank you all for coming, and thank you for taking the time for us to help us in celebrating Dennis's life. So it was a sudden death, but we want to celebrate his life today and remember just what talent that his God-given talent was given. Thank you all for coming. We actually should be meeting in the practice room, according to Dennis. His middle name, it says Charles, but it was Dennis, practice, Widen. So I can remember those times. And thank you, choir, for that wonderful song. It is well. Each one of you have a talent that you've been given. And when you can discover that no matter what age, you'll be able to use that. I'll probably take just a little bit more time being in close, but I want to fill you in on really what Dennis, I think, was to our family. I want to share some moments or notes in the music business with about his life. Dennis we grew up in a family farm up in Fort Worth, Iowa, a small town, about 1,000, counting cats and dogs. And we farmed some land and milked some cows. And Dennis learned his work ethic, I think, through that. And there was times he had to survive that, and also 5 brothers. He was usually the one that was the peacemaker. So I just want to share 4 things with you. I'll make it quick. I promise I won't make it sound like a sermon. As I reflected, I thought, Dennis, about 4 things that start with the letter P. One was passion. My brother Dwight already spoke about that. The second one is purpose. The third one is practice. And the other one is people. And Dennis had a passion for music. Wow, did he? He had a passion for teaching music to others. He had a passion for playing music and a passion for sharing music. And many of you here because of that sharing. Dennis was fortunate. He found his passion at a very young age. And I know he always talked about trying to get them to have a passion for this music. And I always tell him, there's too many notes on the page. You can't have a passion for that. But most of the music that he had, from Brahms and Beethoven and all the really heavy music, as I would call it, Mary Had the Lamb was pretty tough for me to play. But Dennis had his childhood setback when he was younger, and he discovered he had a heart murmur. And through that rheumatic fever that he had, he was forced to stay and not lose much on the farm, and so he picked up the music. And as Dwight alluded to, our grandmother, she played the piano, very seldom in key, and sang even further out of key, but it was enjoyable at Christmas. So despite the setback, God blessed him with this passion, and he taught me how to overcome adversity and then find your passion. And I know he did that. I don't know if you know his brothers, he always told some really dry jokes. And I didn't laugh at his, and he never laughed at mine. So we were all even at that point. But there was a time that in the south room of our old farmhouse, it had no heat. But that's where the piano was. So the door had to stay open. And we were in the sports business, playing all the sports and stuff. He couldn't be active. And we'd pull that door shut. And then then we'd slam it shut. And finally, he would just put up with it and play in the piano room until his hands got cold. And so then we felt bad. So we would then open up and let some heat in there. But he practiced. Dennis tried to get us to play instruments and play music. And to no avail, we, tried our hand at it. I tried it at a couple of instruments only because I wanted to sit by the prettiest girl in the band, and Dennis knew that. So he said, "You won't have the armature or anything." So he played the school band, started out the trombone, and I remember the one time we were always joking around. He said, "Your trombone sounds like a bunch of our cows." He said to me, "Well, at least I don't look like one." But he had such a wit and comeback that was just, he never lost it. And even though the miles separated us, and the time and the distance, he was so passionate about that. So he accompanied piano even at the youngest age. I can remember us going to church and him playing the piano for people playing there at the young age of that. And many solos and accompaniment. And at first, I kind of thought Dennis was going to go into some type of ministry. He's very studious in that field, but God had other plans for him. And yes, the second thing then is, after Dennis had his passion, it was purpose. He wanted to play his music and teach others, and that was his passion. And that kind of passion taught me, if I want to do something, what do I want to do with that passion? I want to make it for good. And I know Dennis would have told you that you find that passion, you find it, and then you go for it. no matter how long it takes you in life, you find it. And hopefully in the collegiate area, that you're gonna find that and take something that Dennis had taught you. It said, we actually this summer, I drive through on the way to Arizona to see my family and back. And I stay a couple of days. I think he thinks that's long enough for his brother to stay. And you know, we talked about some cliches we use in teaching. And I said to one, I said, you know, actually, Dennis, neither one of us have worked a day in our life. He goes, yeah, what do you mean? He said, well, when you do, then I said to him, when you do what you like to love, you never have to work a day in your life. And I thought that was something. And yesterday I found that little quote written down on his hand. It's the first thing he ever wrote down something I said. So it was something. You never have to work a day in your life. If you're working towards that passion that you're driving for, you have that purpose of what you are. Dennis refined his purpose at Drake University, in an early college in Montana. It was there that he really learned to study and prepare to become a better teacher and a better performer. But you know, Dennis, he wasn't the one that wanted to be behind the microphone. He wanted to be sitting on that piano chair right there, helping someone along the way. So he said, I'm not going to go into the performance area. Because I said, you know, be the next Liberace, you know, do this, make some CDs. And he said, no, that's not me. Because he knew what his purpose was. And he showed me that. And I know that one of the folders thing I had was from recent churches, where he played 3 or 4 different churches on Saturday, a couple on Sunday, and a wedding, and he just enjoyed that. Dennis taught and played music, like he said, the way it was meant to be played. So whatever he was playing, he felt that music in his, I don't know how he did it, but that was the talent he had to play that music. Dennis was also about practice. Now I know students, you don't want to hear that, but it is about practice. All the way from the south room of the house, he showed practice. And contrary to what White said, I will have a test after this on the 4th. So, but Dennis was at the old cliche. I thought as teaching and coaching in Iowa, the only place where success comes before word is in the dictionary. And that should be Dennis's, I think, line that he has. Dennis was about practice, and then more practice, and then more practice. And he'd shake that finger. I don't know if he still does that or not. Get you to practice again. And you play it as perfectly as you thought. You go, I got it. You go, okay, one more time. And I want to tell the story about his practice. I came early one time. He wasn't expecting me for about an hour right home at night in Oklahoma City. So I was a little bit early to the time I was coming. He was playing at his house as I walked up. And I came in, said, anybody home? And his fingers were flying through the piano and hands flying up in there. And the music, I could not have any notes on that page. And then he suddenly stopped. And he said, oh, I missed those notes. He looked at me and I went, yeah, you missed those notes. I remember those 3 notes, you missed them. I had no idea. But he was such a perfectionist. So he flipped the pages back and started again because he was going to practice. And he was about the perfection for the sake of the music. And I said, you know, practice makes perfect. He said, no, it's perfect practice makes perfect. Because he's going to practice it until he got it. And so I hope you can take that part of the practice with it. And finally, Dennis was about people. We lost our father at a young age. He was 47 of a heart attack. And Dennis helped our mom more than anybody to get through that. And even though he was only 19, 20, and I was 19, 18, going on 11, he really was there for mom. And I really appreciate it for that. Dennis helped teach me how to learn compassion about that. And Dennis gave up 1.5 years, his career in his life, after he was in Western Montana State, to come home and be with mom. And he made that commitment. It's like the chicken, you know, made a commitment for the egg. But it's not like the pig who made the commitment for the bacon. And Dennis was the one that made that commitment to go and give up his career. You know, I said I'd do this, and I did a couple months in the summer. But he did the main part of it. So he was always helping others. And you guys know him well too. I can't really remember Dennis ever saying no to anything. Well, maybe to him, asking him to pass the mashed potatoes when I was hungry, but he would very seldom say no to anything. And he was a true teacher. And in my profession, there's a lot of times I said, I hope I have that passion that Dennis had. And a true teacher is really one who's going to inspire you to go do something that you are given that talent for. And so I know many, one student said that we went to the music store, and she said, you know, I came to talk to Dennis about theory class, and you guys know how hard theory class is. They said we spent more time talking about life and how to find that drive to do the hard things. There's hard things in life. Dennis went through some hard things in his life. He overcame adversity, you know, with his illness, and then living with 5 brothers, and then the loss of a father, and taking those times. So he was in heaven when he came here, because you were the people of his life. And Dennis had a compassion for that, because he realized he wanted to be a teacher. And last of all, as I finish up here, in the final years, you know, Dennis shared pretty much how much he enjoyed being here at Southwestern Oklahoma State, Southwestern Oklahoma State, excuse me. And you really are his family. I'm basically a second family, because I'm not in the music business like you and he was. They don't say blood is thicker than water. That's not true. You have to be a music in your blood for him to be in that family. So I want to thank you very much for coming today. I hope I didn't take too much time, but I wanted to share with those things of passion and purpose and practice and people, and something that you, whatever you could take and give to mankind. I know if he was here, he kind of reminds me of that he's going to come out and play. And thank you for the choir for singing. It was awesome. And the trumpet and the piano and the music to come. I know he would be saying one thing: practice, practice, practice. I've said that in my coaching career. And also he would say, follow your dreams. And then last he would say, play on. Thank you very much.
Okay, I guess I'll use this. Good evening, and once again, we would like to thank you. It's like Stephanie said, it is a celebration of Dennis's life, and we're just so glad to be able to join us in celebrating Dennis's accomplishments and his lifetime, the stories from his life. I'd like to thank Dr. Keith Talley and Dr. South for organizing and doing all the organizing for the performers and the speakers and to come, and just thank you very much. Let me share a few memories I have of Dennis. And one was really early in my life, about 4, 5, 6 years old. I can remember Dennis coming home from high school with a violin. And of course, he first got to learn when you play an instrument is how to hold it. So I remember pretty much Dennis slide the violin under here. There was a little, I guess, a little piece he put your chin on. I would do that, and he still had a hold of it. And he said, go ahead, extend your arm out to the end. And sure enough, my arm went about halfway. So didn't quite go as we planned, but I think that was my first music lesson, maybe probably his first teaching lesson. So it's a memory I have of him. Also, a separate memory I have is when he was at Drake University, his senior recital. I was about 10 years old, a little bit less than a year after our dad had passed away. And I just remember him on the stage in coat and top, what do they call those, tails and the whole works, with his arms flying in his head, you know, just what piano teachers do sometimes, piano players do sometimes. And it's just, I remember sitting in the audience and saying, wow, that's my brother. That's quite a memory for me. So, and of course, the great music that came out of piano Roy is playing. The next memory I have is maybe a little bit sad, but as he left Western Montana, my mom called me as a college, just said, are you available to help Dennis move back? And, I guess he's resigned, or he's going to go ahead, like he mentioned, come back and help mom. And I said, sure, you know, I'll go out to Montana and help him. I think my brother Doug and his wife Luann, myself and mom traveled out there, loaded his stuff up, excuse me. And just one of those times when I just think he was sad of leaving that college. Sorry he's going to miss all the people there, but new chapter in his life. Like Dean said, he gave up his profession right there to help others. So it's hard. But also at that time, just coming back with him on the trip back to Iowa, you know, I was thinking, God, I'm in college. And Dennis is a college professor. If I had any inkling of music talent or interest, he could have been my professor. So it's just one of those things that on the trip back, just a memory that's a little sad, but also a new chapter in his life. And I guess I would count that as a missed opportunity on my part. Dennis was an intelligent man, very smart, studious, and a passion to learn, excuse me, that turned into a passion to teach. And my wife Lori and I have 3 children. Our oldest son, Ethan, is freshman in college, freshman in college in a small Christian university in Montgomery, Alabama. He could not make it tonight, but my other children, Eli and Elena, are here. Lori and I were talking recently about Ethan and how he was kind of on his own, but how we could, his professors there, we just wish and pray that his professors there, you know, 2 children that hopefully are going to college, so that they could come across a professor like my brother Dennis. We continue to open way that every day. Dean and I have been in the community around Weatherford for a few days, and have met so many people that have been in contact with Dennis, and who he befriended through the university or through just business work that he does. And he's really encouraging words keep coming up. He was a good man. Without a doubt, he was a good man, but a greater brother and friend. We are so proud of his inspiration to his students. This is evident by some new technology you might know called Facebook, like Dwight mentioned. The tribute to him beyond words. All that have been involved with that, we just can't thank you enough. Just the words that you've spoken about him through the years. You have accepted him into the family at Southwestern State University, and once again around town, I guess it's SWOSU, which is good with me. And I know he was happy being here. Like Dean said, we were his family. And I'm just glad that this evening is taking place to combine those 2 families. So, on behalf of the Widen family, we would like to donate his grand piano that's in his home to the music department here at SWOSU. We know it'll be in good hands. That's pun intended. And besides, if it was at one of the other brothers' houses, chopsticks wouldn't do it justice. So. And mine either. But once again, I just thank you for coming. Thank you, Dr. South and Dr. Talley, I know sick, but and all those that are involved in the memorial and celebration of his life tonight. Thank you and God bless.
Hello. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jackson Anderson, and I am a junior in music education major here at SWOSU. But before I start with my recorded speech, I wanted to share with you the very first thing that Dr. Widen taught me, which was the key of D major has 5 sharps. Now, how many sharps does the key of D major have? And what key has 5 sharps? Now you will never forget that B major has 5 sharps. In that little thing that he taught us at the very beginning of Theory 1, he mentioned afterwards that there are multiple ways to address a problem and to learn different things, and everybody learns differently, and that's how he was going to teach the rest of the year. And that he would try to teach to your strengths so that you could learn the information, know it frontwards, backwards, left, right, upside down, all of that stuff. He was just a phenomenal teacher. I've known Dr. Widen for the 3 short years, spending my last 2 semesters in his piano studio. But in that short period, he's become one of the greatest influences in my life. Actually, I heard of Dr. Widen while I was still in high school. My best friend Taylor Steyer, he was here as a freshman while I was still in high school. And he had come home one week and he told me about his awesome theory teacher. He even called him, he was like Dumbledore. He was like the person ever. And he bragged on his teaching style, but the one thing that he reiterated was how encouraging and caring he was. And that really stuck with me, because we had teachers at high school that were really like that too. That's what I was hoping to get for here at SWOSU. So as Mr. Boyd in the education department says, in regards to teaching, students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And with Dr. Widen, that was really evident, even on my first day in music theory. He was so sincere to everyone that he met. Over the course of my 1 or 2 days, Dr. Widen grew to be such an important part of my life. He would always take time out of the day to speak with me, even if to just say hi. And like his brother said, he didn't ever say no. If you went and asked him, hey, I have to play a singing recital in like 2 weeks, can you accompany me? He would probably say yes, because if you asked him, he was just, sacrifice was really big. He would sacrifice his time and his energy and his talent to help you in any way that he could. In spring of 2013, I accepted a bid to membership to Phi Alpha Symphonia, of which Dr. Widen was an alumni member. And I remember him being so excited when he found out. He came up to me, and anytime he spoke to me for the next 8 weeks of that process, he had so much joy and exuberance about him. He was like, he would always be like, I'm so excited for you to see what's coming. You're just going to love it, and I'm excited to have you as a brother. And that really meant a lot to me. And after my initiation, I found myself in his office all the time, just to talk or to ask advice on big life decisions or even to discuss fraternal matters. He always had the time. He helped me make some of the biggest and hardest decisions in my life. Some of the best advice that I received from him was, you don't have to have a degree to be passionate about something. If you love it, do it. Your passion will push you to do great things, not a degree. And that really stuck with me. And like his brother said, passion, he had so much passion for music and teaching. And that has really stuck with me. He was such a great inspiration to me, and he maintained a level of class, professionalism, and dignity, which was almost noble in manner. He always just had this professional air about him. My second year at SWOSU, I didn't have really many classes with him. However, he continued to keep up with me. He became a friend at that point. Anytime I saw him in the halls, it was, well, how's that Greek concerto going? Oh, that part? Yeah, if you try like this, it might be a little easier. Try to approach it like this and learn it that way. And he was teaching me even without being in any of his classes. And he would always encourage me. I'm so excited to hear you perform this. I know it's going to be great. And he continued to keep up with me in all aspects of my life. He drew attention to a composition contest in Alpine, Texas for a wind ensemble. And after hearing a piece that I had written for wind ensemble, I showed it to him. He encouraged me to enter it in there. And he was like, it's worth a shot. What happens? The worst they say is no, and the best is you win and get $500. So what could be better than that? So I went ahead and turned it in. I ended up winning the competition. And he was the first person I've been told, and he was so thrilled. He continued to encourage me and told me to look for more opportunities like this one. That making 2 areas in my life get encouraged and strength. He told me that if I really worked hard, that even nationally, I had a bright future ahead of me, as long as I set my goals and sought to achieve them. But perhaps the greatest exalting experience with Dr. Widen was taking lessons with him these past 2 semesters. He began every single lesson with, how are you doing? And it wasn't like, oh, how are you doing? I'm supposed to tell you this because I'm a teacher. It was, really, how are you doing? Tell me how you like this. He genuinely cared. It was never forced. And we talked about everything from life to the fraternity to disaster stories and company. Oh, those are our favorites to talk about. Like how vocalists, they cannot kind of save their lives. And instrumentalists, they just don't know how to work with the pianists. I guess they just haven't had enough practice with it. And we just had really great talks about that. Then he would always ask about my friends before we started. He would just bring up a random person that I was close to and ask, how's such and such, or so-and-so keeping up with this, or how's their piano study going, or how's their horn going, all of that stuff. And he genuinely cared. Like, that is the most important thing about him, is he just really cared. He was one of the greatest teachers I've ever had. And he got so excited when we accomplished something in my lesson. And he was the major source of encouragement in my life. Over those 2 short semesters, he became a father figure to me. And every single time I performed, whether it was on horn or piano or voice, he was always there in the back. I didn't even know that he'd be there sometimes. I'd come off the stage performing, and he'd be there, and he'd come up, and it wasn't just, you did a good job. It was always, at this specific point in music, that was really great what you did there, with your musicality, or with your phrasing, or how you interpreted that. And that really stuck with me. One of my last experiences with Dr. Widen was right after I performed on recital, departmental recital a couple weeks ago. I played Prelude 3 by Gershwin, and I walked into the green room, and there he was with the biggest grin on his face, and he said, that was excellent. Musical, clean, and fun. Don't ever play it that fast again. Overall, really great job, and I'm so proud of you. and that really meant a lot to me. I'm proud of you. These words mean so much. And I've become a better musician since studying with Dr. Widen. He taught me much more than just to play the piano. In my lessons, he taught me how to teach. He showed me what it really means to have passion for what you do. He taught me how to uphold the ideals that I believed in and how to live them out. He taught me how to find the truth in music, and he taught me how to care, and taught me extremely valuable life lessons. I wanted to share a quote with you that he said with me in my very last lesson that really stuck with me. He said, "Life is like learning a piece of music. All too often, people worry about the minute details and fret over the littlest of things. You have to look at the piece as a whole. Yes, the notes and rhythms are important. What is the most important is telling the story of the piece, playing it with feeling and emotion. And when you finally have attained that, when you have made that special connection with your listeners, you have truly achieved what music is all about. That is what separates the greats from the mediocre. Tell your story and don't get caught up in the small things in your life. Play on and let the music do what it does best." Dr. Widen was my mentor, my teacher, my brother, but most importantly, my friend. There will never be another one quite like him. And my hope for myself and my colleagues sitting out here, who are all hurting as I am, is that Dr. Widen will continue to live through us, that he will live through our teaching and through our passion towards what we love to do. His legacy must live on, and it is now our job to give to others what he gave to us. To the Widen family, thank you so much for sharing this wonderful man with us. These words that I've spoken do not even begin to describe what he meant to me and to others. Life is so short, so let's make the best of it. Live each day to the fullest, and let us constantly pay homage to this wonderful man, this great teacher, mentor, and friend. It will definitely not be the same in this department with Dr. Widen, and I miss him dearly. Thank you.
Hi. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kate Rates, and I'm a senior vocal music education major with piano primary, and Dr. Widen was my wonderful piano teacher. If you know anything about me, you know I worship the ground he walked on, and I often joke with my sisters that, given the opportunity, I would marry him. Because he's the man. He is the man. Let's start with some memories, shall we? Anyone that's ever had him as an accompanist will tell you that no matter how good or how bad the performance was, afterwards he would hug you and tell you how proud he was of you and how wonderful you did. Not just that day, not just in that moment, but for the whole next week. He would catch you in the hall and say, "Oh my gosh, I loved that Wednesday. That was great." And he would not let you forget it, good or bad. He made sure that you did it again and that you would only improve. What about that time freshman year in Theory 1 where Taylor Steyer came on Halloween Day dressed up as Dr. Widen, sweater vest and all? Yeah, you remember that? I think that made his whole year, and it was like looking in a mini mirror. It was pretty cute. Or the day in class piano where a couple of the guys succeeded in getting him off topic enough that he told us that his favorite video game was Assassin's Creed. Sometimes it's the simple things, like times that people would be sitting in the hall discouraged or worrying, and he would walk by and say something as simple as, "It's going to be okay. You're going to be a great teacher. It'll all work out in the end." He's a lot of the reason that most of us are still here, or graduated, or are teaching now. My favorite memory of Dr. Widen is last year when I decided to do this crazy thing called a pageant. I said, "Will you help me with this?" And he kind of looked at me like I was crazy, but he said, "Sure." So we worked up this piece and we got it cut down to 90 seconds, and it was the week before the pageant, and we practiced it, and he said, "No, I won't be there because that just doesn't sound fun to me, but best of luck." Best of luck. I'll be there in spirit, and I'll see you next week in your lessons. And I was like, okay, cool. So pageant night comes, and it's talent time. I come out on the stage, I play my piece, I go to take my bow, I look in the back, and who had snuck in the door? Dr. Widen. He was standing in the back, clapping, and that meant more to me than having anyone there. I ended up winning the pageant, and I went to my lesson the next week, gushing like a small child, And I took my crown and sash in, and I said, Dr. Widen, you have to see this. I owe this to you. And opened the box, and he asked if he could wear my crown and sash. I said, can I try that on? He didn't quite have the hair supply for the crown, but he did wear the sash. My whole lesson, he proudly wore Miss Southwestern, and kind of didn't want to give it back, but he did. I had it. It's all good. Probably my favorite memory of my whole year, and maybe even my whole college career, was that moment. My favorite thing about Dr. Widen is his open door policy. No questions asked, anything's wrong, even a happy moment, if you wanted to share it with him, all you had to do was knock on his door, or most of the time, it was open, and you could just walk in. I can close my eyes and picture myself in his office. I can smell his awful coffee and cough drops. I can see his lace curtains. I can hear his phone beeping because he's getting numerous emails every 2 seconds, it seems like. And when I play the piano, I think I'll probably still hear him humming the melody line over and over and over. In the coming days and months and maybe even years, we're all going to feel like we're missing a piece of our hearts. And in this situation, I know that Dr. Widen would encourage us to grab a friend or an advisor and sit down and talk to them. If he were here, he would invite us in his office with a smile and a hug and tell us that it was all going to be okay, and to put our best foot forward and go practice it off. To honor Dr. Widen for everyone that's here as a student, I encourage you all to use this time and your grief as a drive for success, knowing that doing so would make his heart swell with pride. He was so proud of every single one of us, and he had the utmost faith and would gladly serve as our #1 fan or cheerleader anytime we needed it. The grief may never end, but it will change. It's a passage, not a place to stay. Grief is not a sign of weakness nor lack of faith. It's simply the price of love, and we all know that we love Dr. Widen. There's an old proverb that says, anything you lose will come back to you in another form, and I believe that. I believe Dr. Widen will be present in our lives when we open doors to students that need a heart to love them. Dr. Widen will be there when we drill key signatures in their heads. How many sharps does B have? 5. Okay, just making sure. He'll be watching when we decide to wear sweater vest. He'll be there when we celebrate successful juries, and he'll be the voice of reassurance in our heads when we walk through the not-so-hot proficiencies. And he'll be there when we have our own classrooms and studios. Our hearts will carry a piece of Dr. Widen throughout life. We'll never forget him. Be the reason his legacy lives on. Be proud to claim Dr. Widen as part of your musical heritage and live your life to leave a legacy like his. Dr. Widen, we love you and we miss you immensely. We appreciate all you've done for us, and we will never forget you. His song may have ended, but the melody will forever linger on. Thank you.
I returned and saw all the injustices suffered under the sun, and behold the tears of those oppressed. They had no comforter, and the oppressors were too powerful, but the oppressed had no comforter. There I praised the dead, which are already dead, more than living, which are still alive. And better is he that both they who have not yet been, who hasn't seen the evil work that is done, haven't seen.
Before I get my remarks, I was asked to announce, Risa has put together this memory book, which will be in the music office if anyone would like to sign it over the next couple of days. It will be there for you. Dr. Dennis Widen had a tremendous impact on those of us in this room this evening, and many more that were unable to be here. A fitting way for us to honor his life and his teaching career
is to draw lessons from his life's example and then pay it forward. All of us are teachers. Some choose to teach as a career, others are teachers as a relative or a parent. But we can all learn from the way in which Dennis lived his life. Dennis taught music theory and class piano, two courses for which many freshmen are woefully underprepared. Most high schools do not teach music theory, and as a result, it is a shock for many entering students. To add to the shock, it is a gatekeeper course which all music students must pass. Likewise, playing piano is a necessary skill for musicians, and one which is new to many students when they arrive at college. Dennis was the perfect person to teach those courses because of his manner and his experience. Here are 5 lessons I learned from Dennis since 2001. Lesson 1, compassion. Dennis was patient and calm, even when explaining things over and over. He cared enough about his students to take the time to help them individually. Lesson 2, inspire confidence. Many students have remarked in the last few days that Dennis believed in them before they even believed in themselves. He uplifted them during trying times and gave them the self-confidence which made it possible for them to succeed. Lesson 3, defy convention when necessary. 2 words, sweater vest. Dennis was 100% comfortable being himself. It did not matter if no one else in 1,000 miles wore sweater vests. They made him comfortable and he wore them. Lesson 4, always look for a better way to teach something. Dennis accomplished much in his time at SWOSU. He reorganized the entire class piano curriculum and the proficiency exam. Along with David Bessinger, he continually analyzed the way in which music theory concepts were taught in an effort to communicate the concepts most effectively. Lesson 5, have a great sense of humor and use it often. Dennis had an infectious laugh and was not afraid to use it. He had a terrific sense of perspective and was experienced enough not to take the small stuff too seriously. We loved him and we miss him.
My name is Jimena Aracena. I'm actually a biology professor, so I'm really kidding here. And I met Dennis a few years ago when I decided to pick up the piano again, like many people sometimes do. And he became my very good friend. And if I can make it through, I have 3 things to say. First one, see, I don't know how to use these things here. Because we're all so sad to have lost Dennis, I thought it might be at least a small consolation to know that Dennis died very quickly. So, I don't know, this is, I thought about saying this or not, but I thought it would be a good idea to talk about this. For several days, he just thought he had a bad sinus infection. And he actually got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer for the very first time on Wednesday, October 8th in the evening. That's 13 days ago, in the late afternoon, right? He was waiting for his meeting with a specialist to have something more concrete to discuss with family, with friends and colleagues. But just 2 hours before that appointment, the next Tuesday, he had to be taken to the emergency room. So he never saw the specialist again. He passed away 48 hours later, which is 7 days, 18 hours after his diagnosis of cancer. So there was no chemo, no radiation, no battle, nothing like that. In the 5 days he spent at home after the diagnosis, we asked him how he was doing, and he was not in pain. He was able to work on his papers, and we were able to chat, and we even watched a couple of movies. The last movie that Dennis saw was The King's Speech, which I forced out his throat because I'm a fan of Colin Firth. He did not make fun of me, and I'm trying to imitate The King's Speech right now. Because I'm a biology professor and not used to the performance pressure. He was trying to get strong enough to go to school and, of course, take care of his students. So, as I said, this was thankfully very fast. The second thing I would like to say, and I don't know if he ever discussed this with his family, and that's why I also want to share it with many of you. Once Dennis knew the grim prognosis of his disease, and that was 2 days after he was diagnosed, he did share what he thought about dying. He told of an experience he had had many years ago. He said his mother had died years before he finished his PhD. But one day, he actually saw her in his house, and she talked to him. She told him how incredibly happy she was and how proud she was of him. Then he said that he normally did not believe this sort of things happened, but that he was sure he had not been just dreaming. He could not explain his experience, but he knew that there was some kind of life after death. Then he said that regardless of what church or even what kind of faith people believed in, for him, there was a higher power, and he had a personal relationship with that higher power. He said that hearing he was going to die sometime soon actually made him feel very strange sort of peace and liberation. He even said it was like that, but freedom, something like that. I'm not sure the exact words he used. He also said he felt he had a very good life, and he was okay with dying. He used those words. He was also not afraid, and he was just hoping to get his affairs in order. So that's the second thing. The last thing is, of course, Dennis was one of the best friends I ever had. And this was a huge and very unexpected personal loss for me. And he was one of the warmest and most generous people I ever known. And when I see the enormous outpouring of love in the last few days, it actually makes me feel proud of him. And very fortunate to have known him and of having been his friend. Now, his friends included people of all weird kinds. He had friends from places like Taiwan and Saudi Arabia, even Bolivia. His friends were all kinds of Christians, Methodists, Lutherans, Baptists, Catholics. He also had Buddhist friends, Muslim friends, and even atheist friends. I think he improved the quality of life of many people and helped countless people. I know that when I most needed a friend, he spent many hours with me and made space in his busy schedule to help me. I also want to tell you that we have found a loving home for his cat, Dora. And I think the university will also be a loving home for his Boston baby grand piano. Things that he actually didn't care about very much. Finally, I want to brag about the fact that I received also numerous warm hugs from Dennis over the years I knew him, and that is what I will remember the most.
I'm Sophia Lee, I'm the Director of Music Therapy here, and before I'm going to read my former colleague's letter, Anthony Lee, who's expecting the due date of her little baby is going to be on December 15th. As many of you may have known, Dennis promised that he was going to be the little boy's godfather. And it just came very, very fast. One thing that we cherish a lot from what he had taught us, and really, well, as a pianist, I never knew how to teach the beginning pianist at all. And it was him who taught me how to break things down. I said, scale, what do you mean? You're supposed to be on autopilot button, right? You know, you put your finger on the piano, it's supposed to run that way. And he said, no, it does not come naturally. So he really taught me, like, okay, this is how you are going to show them the pattern. I said, oh, I never realized there was a pattern. So that really quickly summarized his ability of reaching the students at where they are. And to us music therapists, that is a very essential skill. So even he was never a music therapist, I think he has the quality of being a good music therapist yet to be developed. So I'm just going to go ahead and read this letter from Anne. Dear Dennis, I will never forget the day that we first met. It was at the airport. It was one of the most nervous days of my life because it was my interview. I had no idea who was going to pick me up, so I prayed, God, please send someone who is nice and kind to calm me down. Then God sent you, a person with a big smile to give me a big hug. On the way to Widen, we just kept talking until reaching campus. I feel like that you have known me so well that we were longtime friends. When we just met for less than an hour ago. After the trip to Widen, I kept praying, God, this person is so sweet and kind that I hope I may work with him. God answered it accordingly, and our friendship began. You're a very important person in my life, as I have always told you. I miss sitting in your office or your living room for 3-4 hours, talking about teaching, music, life, religions, and cultures. Even today, I still dream about knocking on your office door and asking if we could talk. You always tell me, don't worry, I got your back. You would have no idea how important it was to me. I was just a new instructor in camp and tried to survive through the first job in my life. Because of you, my life at SWOSU became so much easier and happier. Last year, 2 days before I left US, I dropped by your house to say goodbye. You handed me a treasure box with some tickets, memos, and cards inside. You say, this box consists of the mementos we shared this year, including those from concert, conference, info, and other things that we did together. Now I'm giving this to you, and I want you to keep pulling more things inside. When I visit you next year in Taiwan, you can share with me your happy moments. I would never imagine that was the very last time we visited. Now the box is sitting on my desk with additional mementos. I wish I had the chance to tell you what I have put inside. This year, when I first found out my pregnancy, I Facebooked you to ask if you could be the godfather of my little baby boy. I was beyond excited when you said yes, and you would make a plan to visit us next summer. Everything seemed perfect until last week. When I first heard about your diagnosis, then your passing. It happened too fast. All I could do was sitting on my bed and thinking how and why it happened so fast that we didn't even have the chance to say goodbye. My dear Dennis, I want you to know that even if you will not be able to meet my baby boy in person, I'll still tell him that he has an awesome godfather in heaven who was smart, sweet, kind, and loving. I will tell the baby boy all the memories that we shared and all those interesting things that you have told me. Thank you for everything. I will always miss you. Goodbye, Dennis. Love, Anthea. 2014, October 21st in Taiwan.
What is it? They come along. Is that working?